So welcome back, everybody, to the Unphazed Podcast, the number one motortainment show in the world. And today, I am so thrilled to have a very special guest on the podcast. One of the inspiring founders of Heroes for Children, a nonprofit that makes a difference in the lives of families facing pediatric cancer. I can't wait for you to hear her incredible story and the impact that her organization has had and continuing to have. It's going to be an amazing episode. I'm excited. We've had a little chat beforehand. I know she's excited. So let's get right into it with Mrs. Jenny Lawson. Let's go.
I'm unfazed, yeah, I'm unfazed. I'm unfazed, yeah, I'm unfazed. I'm unfazed, yeah, finna stack this paper. I'm unfazed, yeah, finna stack this paper. I'm unfazed.
Quick round of applause for our guest. Awesome. Jenny, so glad to have you on here.
I'm really excited about this. This is
How
fun.
you doing?
My son thought it was really cool for doing this, by the way.
Really? Also, I got you some points. I got you some bull points.
Yes.
There we go. I love it.
I don't earn a lot of those when you have a 13-year-old boy. So this is cool.
So any way you can get it, right? Any way you can
exactly.
get it. No, that's awesome. And also I really want to get right into it because when I was I know we had rescheduled. We were supposed to do it a little bit late, but it was amazing that happened because it gave me actually a little bit more time to just do more research and kind of look into more than what you do. And I just want to say before we even get into anything, you are inspiring. It is so amazing the things that you're doing and continuing to do and the families that you've helped. And it's really cool. And I would love to be that person that's just gets it out to more people, and hopefully we can start a fire and get it out to as many people as possible because you're doing amazing things. First off,
thank you for being willing to share our story of Heroes for Children, my personal story of why I do it as the co-founder. It's exciting anytime that we get to share that because every child with cancer has a unique and special story. Every single one of them and what they're going through. I can tell you just in the last couple of weeks, the kids that I've been hanging around and getting to spend my time with, you've got a 17-year-old with ovarian cancer.
Oh my gosh.
It's homecoming week. And what is she doing? She's decorating posters for homecoming for her high school. And she's doing all the things ready to go on, but she's doing it while bald. I've got a young man that I met, he's 15 with his leg was amputated just this summer, and he had it spread to his lungs, and his whole thing was, he goes, well, now I have angel wings because he had surgery, and it looks in that sheet across his body.
Oh, wow.
These are the most amazing. I met a 2-year-old who, is fighting with cancer, and I met one who is 7, but started at 2 months with his cancer treatment, and now he's doing great.
That's amazing.
I'm just lucky that I get to share their stories.
Yes, no, that is so amazing. And for myself personally, I've never really had any experience with pediatric cancer or things like that, but just any type of disease. My mother, she was diagnosed with a rare condition called stiff person syndrome. It's a rare autoimmune disease.
Wow.
And it basically, she's in her 50s. And she got it really young, way back, and it basically affects her ability to walk around. They thought it was back issues. They thought it was a herniated disc, but it turned out to be so many things. So we've been going through that for a long time. So I have firsthand experience of just having to be in the hospital, having to deal with doctors and that whole situation. So when I heard the story, when Kelly sent me the message about what it is you do, I was like, right now, let's as soon as possible. Can we get it on? So that's definitely awesome.
Wow. And, the thing is what people don't realize with something like that is it's not just the physical toll that they went through, but I would even imagine you've seen firsthand with your family, the financial toll, the emotional toll that goes into all of that, the missed work, the different doctor's appointments, the visits, all the things, even just the parking at a hospital is expensive. And so, all of that you're seeing in a different light. I had never had any exposure to childhood cancer besides the, St. Jude's commercials where you went, oh, those babies are so sweet.
Yes. And I try every commercial.
And my heart would hurt, but at the same time, I didn't know because it was not going to be my child. I didn't think it was until it was.
Yes.
And then you learn really fast when it becomes your own child with something like this. And when my daughter was diagnosed, she was only 4 months old. And so, I had no idea that it could ever affect my a 4-month-old. It was her first fever. I would never have suspected, oh, yeah, my kid has cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I wanted to ask you as well, like just as far as like your story, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but could you share a bit of like kind of what inspired you and like the genesis of the actual charity?
So the charity is Heroes for Children, like you mentioned, and we help families with providing financial and social assistance to families when they're going through their cancer treatment. But it hit home because of the support that I got and my co-founder as well. So my daughter was 4 months old when she was diagnosed 21 years ago, and she was the perfect angel baby, the perfect big, chubby, fat babies. Her rolls had rolls, like she had fat rolls for days. That baby. And they really, couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. And then all of a sudden she had acute myeloid leukemia, which the average age is 65. The cure rate in children is less than 40%. And in babies diagnosed under the age of 6 months, it has a less than 20% chance of survival.
What? Oh, wow.
So we immediately went into treatment within less than 24 hours of her being diagnosed. She was already getting blood transfusions in her first chemotherapy, and we were starting right away. And my daughter went through 3 rounds of chemotherapy. She never got to go home, but for a 5-day stint, and then we got back in the hospital. She had a targeted drug therapy. She had a stem cell transplant on the day she turned 7 months old. She developed aplastic anemia and unable to form her own blood products. And I lost my daughter September 13th of 2004. And so doing that, looking at today's date, that's in 2 days is her anniversary. And so we call that Allie Day. And my family and my children have always gotten to go to the zoo, and we celebrate her life.
That's awesome.
We spend time together. We feed the giraffes, which are her favorite.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but her little life couldn't be just 9 months in my mind. And when I went through it, my daughter was, well loved, and everybody, in the community helped us.
Yeah.
I was a school teacher. My ex-husband was working in the mortgage business, and we were doing okay financially. We were doing okay for a couple in their mid-20s with starting a young family. But then cancer diagnosis is so financially devastating. Yeah. Post-treatment, all in, the explanation of benefits and all that came through, they said her treatment was $3 million. Financially devastating. And of course, obviously good insurance helped with that, but there were bills. Yeah. Yeah. And there was loss of income. I had to quit my job. I could not be a school teacher anymore, which was my, life's work at that time. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I went from being a wife and a teacher and a mother, and all of a sudden I was a wife. And I didn't know what was going to be with my purpose, but I knew I had to work with purpose. I'm a person that lives by passion and excitement for what I do. I could never have a desk job.
Oh my gosh, you sound just like me.
I could never. I taught French in middle school, and I was passionate and excited about things. And so I knew that I had to do something. And I met another mom whose daughter also she had lost her battle to the same leukemia, and actually in the same room, in the same hospital.
What? Oh, wow.
But 3 years prior. And so we started talking, and we joined together, and we created Heroes for Children to support the families. We started just with hospitals in the Dallas area. And now we serve hospitals at every pediatric oncology facility in Texas.
Really?
And helping.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And providing that direct financial support. My co-founder and I always say we really hope that cancer research puts us out of business one day, but we don't fund research. We fund the families. We support the families when we're going through it. The here, the now, every single day. Every Friday, we write checks for financial assistance to help the families with mortgage payment, rent, utilities, car payments.
Wow.
Unfortunately, funeral assistance. And even when a newly diagnosed teenage boy is going to have treatment, we will even cover the cost of fertility assistance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we have social programs where we have things to help the families have some fun and normalcy. This weekend we're going to Chicken and Pickle, which is a new thing.
I've heard about that. Yeah. I've actually just got into pickleball.
Yeah, I keep equating it to like Top Golf for pickleball.
Yeah.
But they getting to just come for free, because the expense of doing something like that. I have a blended family of 5 total children, and even just to go to the movies is really flippin' expensive with 5 kids. And so when you also have all your medical bills and your other struggles, or there's loss of income, those fun moments that are what families need don't feel like something they can, splurge on as often. So we do a lot of events like that to support them. And then as a former educator, one of my favorite things we do is we also have a program called Laptops for Love, where we give brand new laptops to kids, like 8 to all the way through 22, that are either they're going through cancer treatment that need to keep up with their schoolwork. So they might be homebound for up to a year. We just got an application for a 19-year-old who is trying to go through college and but has cancer. And our organization is unique because we will serve all the way up until their 22nd, or actually the end of their 22nd year.
Got it. Oh, wow.
Most pediatric ones will stop at 18.
Yeah. Wow.
But I have a 19-year-old myself nowadays, and it hits home differently because she thinks she's an adult. but she's not fully an adult yet. She still is dependent on our insurance and our there's still the, hey mom, can I have
can I have this?
I can have a little extra, I need to go get a haircut, can I borrow some money, things like that happen. And then if she were to have it, God forbid, thinking about the idea of that, but if she were to ever have something like that, it would still fall to us to financially support that.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask as well, with dealing with all these different families, or even in your situation, how you touched on like the normalcy. And I feel like that is such an important part I want to like dive deeper into with you, because I'm just thinking about just for everyone, like in life, going through like financial struggles is like, when you're struggling financially, it's hard to think about anything else. And then you want to throw in, okay, now you have a child that is in a dire situation, and you're trying to. So I want to just talk about that, like the normalcy part of it.
And I'm so sorry, you can't hear dogs wrestling in the background.
No, don't even worry about it. The Unphazed Podcast, we're a dog-friendly podcast. Don't worry about it.
I always worry because they're acting a fool right now.
It's all good.
So yeah, you're right. Like normalcy is hard to establish when you're in crisis mode. And the thing is with this is that it affects the whole family. It's not just the child with cancer, and it is not just the parent who is having to go through it. It's the siblings who all of a sudden, why is mom gone all the time? She's at the hospital, dad's shuffling back and forth. I was talking to a family just recently last week about that, and their 10-year-old is struggling to understand because out of nowhere now 13, 14-year-old sister is going to be, is gone in the hospital, and where's mom? And he's being shuffled back and forth a little bit. So that normalcy is a new normal that they have to establish. And every family has to find that. And there are a lot of families that don't have outside resources, outside support within their own community or their family. We've seen families that are coming from out of the country, out of the state, and they don't have anybody here. Yeah.
So do you get you families that come from out of the state to try to get you guys to support?
We do. Well, so what happens is our assistance goes through the social workers at every hospital.
Got it.
So every child with cancer is assigned a social worker that follows them from diagnosis all the way through long-term care. And they have a really difficult job, because I think theirs is such a challenge, because they want to find support to help families and to make sure that they get the support that they need when they need it. But they also have to make sure that a family isn't so reliant on that support that when they no longer have the qualifications, such as hopefully the child has survived their cancer treatment, that they can't survive on their own either. So the social workers really look at the whole picture of the family, the child, the resources, the community, and then they have a secure login to our website, and they can apply for what they feel is the best need.
And then Wow, that's so cool. And then as far as the financial aspect of it, how directly how do you guys discern like what we're helping the family with?
Well, again, so we really trust the social workers to say this is
Okay, so they handle that as well. Yeah, okay.
They put in how
Gotcha.
they put in what they need, and our average gift for each family is about $900 for financial assistance. For recent years, sometimes they'll give less. The social worker might say, you know what, a $500 gift is just enough to get them through this month of what they need. Funeral assistance, we will do up to $1,500. But we can also pay things that are kind of outside of the box that other organizations can't or won't. For example, we had a young man in the Keller area here in North Texas, and he had he has a brain tumor, and he had brain surgery, and they needed to move him and his mom, single mom. They needed to move from the second floor of an apartment to the first floor. And the apartment complex wanted to charge them another pet deposit for the apartment building that they already lived in.
Yeah.
Which I find, kind of offensive, but I was going to be, I'm going to say it, I'll be damned if that child was going to go without his dogs.
Yeah.
And the mom could not afford it. She was strapped. They had been in the hospital for 2 months, and she was really struggling with the cost of the move, even just that portion of it. And our assistants helped them keep their dogs.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. So we really try not to pigeonhole the fact that we only will support this, or this when it comes to the cancer treatment. We've done things like we bought a bed for a girl that was sharing a bed with her sister, but the doctor said she couldn't anymore due to her treatment. And they couldn't send her home until we could purchase a bed. Yeah, we've had things where the lights are going to be shut off, and we need to call before they are. And we'll do it within a 24-hour period.
Wow, that's awesome. So it is like more case by case basis. Oh,
because
awesome.
just like every cancer's journey is unique, their situation is unique too. So if we only said this is the way we do it, it makes it very challenging. So we have to rely on professional social workers who know what's right. And they then say, hey, this is what we need to do. Yeah,
awesome. And do you guys have, every hospital has their own like specific social worker that deals with the patient? Okay.
Yep,
got
right.
It. That makes sense.
And it's so hard because I think like what you and I were talking about earlier is the education piece of understanding. Some of what I have to do is educate, because when I even had the social worker walked into our daughter's hospital room, she said, hi, I'm your hospital social worker. I've been assigned to your case. And I immediately, my defense mechanism went up, and I was like, but I'm a good mom, because my response was the only thing I knew about social workers were the ones for CPS, and there was some kind of child abuse situation. That's not all social work is, but that's what our perception is.
It is.
So the hospitals have these social workers, these medical social workers that look at the resources. It has nothing to do with whether or not I was a good mother. It was actually to help me.
Yes.
And it took me a while to understand how that was. So I even needed to be educated.
And I think for me, one of the things just with my experience with my mother and things like that is becoming I understand the defensive part, because even when you just said that, I kind of got like, I was like, oh, okay. Because when you're dealing with social workers or just even doctors and things like that, and you see someone of like family or anyone that's in distress, it's like, your job is to help them. And sometimes you feel like they're not doing the best they can, but when they are in most cases. So I think that is a very frustrating thing just with all families. And I'm sure you've experienced families that are in like mental distress and not understand like really what's going on.
Well, and then can you imagine we have these families that don't speak English, because it doesn't matter if they are, from out of the country and they don't speak English. Cancer doesn't care.
It does not. No.
It doesn't matter if they're, they just had their 5th baby and they've got a 2-week-old, and now the other child has cancer. That was a situation. I met a family last week that we were talking to. Actually, oh my goodness, it was this week. They have a family of 6, and their last baby was born right as their other daughter was being diagnosed with leukemia. And it doesn't cancer doesn't care about those kinds of things. And the other thing I think it's interesting when it comes to this is that accepting charity is hard for families. We're out here to help, but sometimes that's really difficult to accept. And so we try to find ways that we can partner with these families to make sure that they know, like, no, we really do care about what you're going through and support you. We want to share your story. We want to be a part of that with you and walk the journey with you, not just, oh, poor you.
Yes.
We really do love these families that we serve. And we want to hang out with them. We want to get to know.
Everything you're talking about is amazing. I wanted to ask, because I know we talked about the financial support, and we talked about like the social support. There was another way that you said, was it emotional?
Yeah. So what we do, comfort and care. So we have.
Okay. What does that look like? Yeah.
So comfort and care looks like things like the laptop program, where we give those laptops. It's tangible items. We donate. We have a blanket project where companies will make a corporate donation. We will purchase all the materials, and we come into that company's office, and they will make blankets as a project, and then we donate them to the kids. I love to take blankets with me when I'm going places to give out. And so those are those tangible items. Sometimes it looks like back to school backpacks and things like that. Things that we find out. I have my favorite doctor at Medical City of Dallas. He is classic for giving out every toy that they have. So whenever I'm there, I'm like, hey, how are you on toys right now? And he'll go, I think we're pretty good. And they're all like, because we keep them locked up from him, because he'll start giving them out to everybody. But, whenever we can collect things, or we partner with other organizations that can do that, that's a comfort and care item as well. Because really, again, that emotional support is there to show them that we care about them, that that they're not in this journey alone. That's our vision, is that no family fights alone when they go through this, that they feel love and support from all of the different resources that are out there, and that Heroes for Children is there to help with that as well.
Well, that's amazing, and I brought that up because from the emotional aspect, even dealing with my mother, like I tried going to therapy. Well, I need to go back to therapy, but it's like
we all do.
Done therapy. Exactly, we all do. Exactly. But when I went to therapy, it was like more personal, and it's actually this is not a ad or plug or anything. It was for BetterHelp. Maybe they could sponsor us in the future. But
there you go.
BetterHelp. And I went on there, and it was really amazing. I met an amazing therapist, and she was great. But she directed me to they had like group sessions, and one of the group sessions was titled like caregiving for family members, or a different thing like that. And that opened my mind up so much, just because I sat on one session and just all the people that, like, you don't even think about because I feel like families that are going through it as well, you're so focused on like that person.
And it feels isolating.
Yes.
It feels very isolating. So last week we had a fundraiser down in Houston for to raise some money and raise awareness. But one of the pieces of it was a fashion show where your patients had clothing that they were models with their parents.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah.
And my favorite was the grandfather, Lloyd, and his little baby grandson, Watson, who they walked the runway, and they were so cute. But what I watched was backstage, they were, before the fashion show began, the moms sat there, and the grandmother and the grandfather that were there, and they all started talking. The kids were talking, but the moms getting to connect to one another, because you feel so isolated in your own bubble. And cancer patients have to be very, very careful when it comes to germs. Cancer patient, you and I getting a cold, it's going to suck. It's going to knock us down for a couple of days.
Exactly.
But it can become something very fatal for a cancer patient to get germs, because their immune system has been wiped. They don't have the normal things to fight it that you and I do right now when we're healthy. And so because of that, they often feel like they can just have to stay in that bubble. I used to say, like, if you broke your leg and you were, a teenager, the entire football team could come piling in your room and cheer you up and bring you balloons and hang out with you. But when you have cancer, you can't. You cannot expose them. So cancer patients and parents, we were wearing masks way before 2020.
Way before,
We were very careful with that. I remember my daughter when right before she turned 7 months, she was having that transplant, and they told us, you will not be around people. Put it this way, don't plan a Thanksgiving because she might not be allowed to be around others. And it was July, and I was a school teacher. How could I have possibly done that?
Yeah.
And the risk to my daughter would have been too severe. And so, that is something that felt very isolating. No one else was going to go through that, So anytime we can give moms these moments of connection, dads, the connection, I don't want to say it's just moms that go through it. Dads are going through it a lot too. Then they feel like it's just not them on an island.
Yeah, that's definitely important. And I think one thing too is that I just even want to commend you on is like anytime I have someone on the podcast, I don't know, all the stories just seem to align and connect. Like this is just meant to be, but turning what you've went through into heroes for children.
Yeah.
Just like, because we talk with my other co-hosts, just like we all go through things in life, but a lot of times things like this don't turn people into, I'm gonna become do this, you know what I mean? So it's so inspirational just to see what you've been able to do for that and all the families that you're helping.
Well, here's the thing, I can't control what happened in my life. I had the most horrific thing that a young parent could go through, which is to have their child die in their arms. There is no way that can make it easy. And there were no consolations for that. Anybody who told me, different things that they thought were trying to, make me feel comforted. But it wasn't, because nothing is better than a child being with their parents. But I know I couldn't control that, but what I could control was how I could move forward in my life. I cannot move on. It was my daughter who died. You don't move on from your child who dies. You move forward in your life. I can't control that, but what I could control is sharing her message, and I could control that her legacy could become the impact for everybody else because of this tiny, beautiful baby, that big fat baby. She's impacted thousands of families. Last year, it was 1,500 families alone were served through us. And because of my child. So would I still rather have had her now and be 21? And, yes, of course. But if it had to happen the way it did, I couldn't just be her mom for 9 months and let that be it. And so here we are 21 years later, and I'm serving her memory. I stepped away. I was the director for 8 years, and then I went back to education. I went back to education, and I taught, and then I left education again, and I'm back as the executive director. So I've had 2 careers, just both.
There we go.
I just keep coming back. But this is it. I love being here with Heroes for Children again. And, coming back to this time in my life is the right moment. But I used to talk to my students about that because they would see, and they knew that Allie was my daughter, and they knew about Heroes for Children and things. And that was one of the things I talked to them about is sometimes life sucks. Yeah. You can go through the hardest things and you can let it break you.
Yes.
Because I could have been curled in a ball all day long. And don't get me wrong, there have been days I want to be curled in a ball, and I have. Yes. And I cry, and I miss my daughter. But I've also raised 2 other beautiful daughters. I've gotten to be raising 3 wonderful stepchildren. And I can control that part of my life.
Yes.
And that's what I really want people to understand is, yes, these families are going through the hardships now, but they're going to come out of it too one day. And then what I can do is what I can do best is raise the money to support them while they're going through it. And it's turned my life to motivation once again, to passion, and to truly knowing I have a direction in that.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful. And I want to ask about, because at the beginning you had brought up some of the kids that you had talked to. Yes. Are there any I don't want to say any favorite, but any stories that you you mind telling, or
absolutely.
People So
kids still want to just be kids. And even though they're a bald child with an IV pole or whatever, they still want to be kids. So we have this little girl that is a lot of our stuff on our website right now. Like when you go to our main page, heroesforchildren.org, you will see this beautiful bald 3-year-old girl with her mother, and her name is Annalise. And Annalise is the cutest thing ever. And right after that photo shoot that she had done with us in February, not long after, she found a recurrence in her arm. And so of her bone cancer, and they had to amputate her left arm. And I remember just being devastated when I heard the news, and her doctor texted me and he said, yeah, but she's the cutest one-armed baby you ever did see. And then I got to go up and have lunch with them, and she was the cutest one-armed baby you ever did see. And we made forts together in her hospital room, and she
so cool.
made me feed her goldfish. And she, not because she only had one arm, but because she was a frog, and she wanted to eat it face first, and eat it with her tongue going out. It had nothing to do with the fact that she was a sick baby. She is a child. Yes. I went and met this summer a young man. His name is Jake, and he lives in Bowie, Texas. And he'd been in the hospital for 8 or 9 days by that point, and he had just been diagnosed. So his whole world was rocked. About to start 10th grade. His whole world is rocked. He's about to miss school until at minimum January or February, is what his mom told me. And so we showed up with a laptop. One of my board members went with us, and we're sitting there talking to him. And I'm like, okay, so Jake, you've been in the hospital for, 8 or 9 days. Like, you must be so ready to go home. He's like, yes, I can't wait. And I said, well, so what are you really looking forward to doing when you get home? And I'm thinking he's going to tell me play video games or snuggle his dog. And he looked at me and he was like, using my bathroom. And I looked at his mom, and she goes, wow, we're poop at home kind of people.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a
15-year-old, what does he really want to do? He wants to use his own bathroom.
Yeah.
But he was such a cheeseball, like happy. And, he looked at me and he said, are you sure you want to give me this computer? There aren't other kids that need it more? I said, yeah, you're the kid that needs it more right now.
Exactly.
He said, are you sure? Because, why was I showing up? What made him special in his mind? And what made him special was just that he was so deserving. His social worker told me, she's like, you will love his sunshine personality. Here's this young man who's just been diagnosed, and he's thinking of others. But we see that a lot. I just last month, I got the pleasure to meet a young girl named Kayleana. And Kayleana and her mom, Deanna, are living in Houston, but they had to send the other 2 siblings up to Iowa, 6 and 15, to live with Deanna's sister. Kayleana, we were at a putt shack, which is kind of like, again, another fun activity place to do putt, indoor putt. And we were hanging out with families and things. And she is just bounding all over the room. Her short black curly hair, but you can see, there's a big spot across her head, and she's just jumping around. And the Astros players from the baseball team and their mascot shows up, and she's like, Orbit! And she's freaking out and jumping around. And as I began talking to her mom, she said, she had brain surgery 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
What? Because
what?
You wouldn't know. She was like, I did my makeup. She was 9, and she put on some makeup, and she was bebopping all over this room. And I would not have been doing that, if I had brain surgery 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I
think I'd probably still be in my bed, or I would at least still be in my pajamas.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with these kids. They're incredible. What they can go through and endure, they're better than on any of us. And it doesn't negate how horrible what they've gone through is, because it is painful and horrific. But I know that they also are so strong and heroic, and they're also fun. They're just kids. The parents have a harder time with the diagnosis 9 times out of 10 than the children.
Yeah. Yeah, and what are some? Oh, my bad. You had it.
You just that's the thing. It's hard to be, facing the reality. And there's Stella.
There we go. There we go, Stella.
Bestie. I love. She likes to sit.
It was about time. We were waiting for you.
Are you serious? She likes to be like, up around me all the time. Okay, bye, Stella.
Yeah, that's funny.
What were you going to ask?
No, I was going to ask. So just for anyone that's listening, like, what are some ways like people listening can get involved and support the mission, whether they are going through that or even just outside? Because like me, like how can I help? How can I help?
Even $10 a month, we have a monthly giving program. Anything when we can do like that regular donation, that makes a big difference. Got it. And then, going to our website, finding out how they can volunteer, attending a fundraising event, yes, even just the warm wishes to the hospitals and caring about them and learning about it makes a difference. Following us on social media, like on Instagram and LinkedIn, Facebook, we're all on there for Heroes for Children. Yes.
And that will all be tagged. We'll put it here, but it'll all be tagged below. So make sure you guys go to those websites and follow them.
Everybody has a voice and they all have a different group and then different community. So if I repost something that you put out, well, that's a whole new people that are now seeing your podcast when I post that didn't know. So that viral communication makes a difference. And so the more we can have that even. But I think one of the best things people can do is donate monthly. Yes. When they can give, no matter what that amount is, if it's $10, if it's $100, every month when they're having that recurring gift that makes that, it changes for nonprofits a lot. It makes a difference in having that support that is continuing on ongoing.
That's awesome. No, I'll definitely be doing that. And I wonder, what's your vision for the future of like Heroes for Children? Because I know it is a nonprofit, but like from where you've started to where you are now is already incredible. So what are you guys continuing to grow?
So 1,800 families will be diagnosed with for a child battling cancer just in the state of Texas alone. My goal is in 1 year, and my goal is that every one of those families in a year could receive that support. There's a lot of families, like I told you, the social workers make the application for us. That means there are families that we might not have ever seen get an application because their need is not quite as what is there, or they might have other support. But my goal would be that every child in the state of Texas has got support from Heroes for Children, and then we can expand and continue to look at what else we can do. It takes a lot of money to give. It takes a lot of money to raise, to give out all of that. And that is my goal, is to continue to increase the numbers of families each and every year of who we can give to provide more funds to the hospitals so that they can help more families.
So the goal would definitely be to just continue the expansion and go as far and wide as you can.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And as far as like personally for yourself, what would you say, like when you think back on your journey, your story personally with Heroes for Children, what's one lesson or message you hope every parent, supporter, or listener carries with them after hearing your story today?
I think it's perseverance. I've gone through some pretty rough times in my life, and beyond just, the tragedy, when you have a child with loses their battle with cancer, it's often such a strain on a marriage. So, then there was divorce that went through it, and single mommyhood, and raising my children, and remarriage, and all of the things that went with it. But I persevered through each one of those times. And I think that that's the lesson there, that we just keep moving. Some people have said the whole, I don't know how you do it. And I hate that statement, because it's like, what choice did I have?
No other choices.
It's not the choice that I had. And it was never the choice or the vision in my life. My stepdaughter tonight asked me, did you ever imagine when you were a little girl, you'd be on a podcast? Because I was telling her about doing this. And I said, one, there weren't any podcasts when I was a little girl. But no, I didn't envision that. But I made that happen in my life because I had to keep moving. And so for me, that's the big thing, is how we persevere, and that there's a lot of ways in which perseverance comes about.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think perseverance and adaptability as well. So being able to go through whatever is going on in life, continuing to adapt and continuing to grow, because I think sadly for a lot of people, it does become, okay, I'm just going to be comfortable. I'm going to stay here, or uncomfortable, whatever it is. I'm just going to stay inside here. But then you're going to miss so much of the positive side, because I think even like directly with what your organization does, like it's that glass half full, glass half empty type thing. And of course, everything that every family is going through is so tragic, but your role is pulling out that any inch of positivity that you can. So that's amazing.
Thank you for putting it that way. I really appreciate that. And you're right. And my 19-year-old daughter was born 13 months after her sister died. And recently she called me up and she goes, "Mom, I'm just so proud of you. You know, I was watching what you're doing. I was watching the Instagram, and I'm really proud of you." And to have your own child say that, because you say it a lot as a parent, "I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud."
You know, proud of the things that you've done. Or we also say sometimes, "I'm so disappointed in your choices." But the pride is much stronger. But from my own kid to call and say, "Mom, I'm really proud of what you've done," that meant a lot, because it's always a worry. I never wanted my daughters to feel like, and then my stepchildren to feel like I'm putting more of my effort into my child who passed away and into them.
Got it. Yeah.
Their sister who died was more important in some way than their life and my love for them now. And so there's a fine balance that I had to find. And I think my daughters have achieved that, and they like to be involved, and they'll go to things, and, you know, they know all of the stories and the history and things like that. And but my daughter's proud of me. So I hung up the phone and just sat there and kind of cried for a while, because, you know, people always tell me like, "Oh, Allie would be so proud," you know, my daughter who passed. And I do think she would. I think, you know, she's been a part of all of this.
I know she would. Yeah.
I do think I've got this little angel watching over me at things that happen, but my child, that's my angel that's here on earth, my other daughters, you know, that are saying, "Mom, that's really cool that you're doing that," or my stepchildren getting involved and hearing about it. And my younger one asked me like, "So you've been on TV and you've done that," and, you know, like, this cool for her to see that, and for them to be proud of me is really special.
You got all the cool points over there.
Yeah.
All the cool points. I love it.
Which is good, because I also have the mean mom points too.
Yes, we got. There has to be a balance, though.
Well, because 6th grade is hitting us.
Okay. Yeah.
I got a 6th grade, 7th grade. I've got a 10th grader, and 2 who are out of the house.
Oh wow! Living life. I want to ask too, just these like final 2 questions, because this has all been so amazing. As far as, because I know we kind of touched on it, but are there families or situations where families are not able to get the support, or they just don't know?
I think there's that has been more is not that we deny, because we don't turn them down once the application comes to us. But there are many families that might be battling childhood cancer that they don't know about us, because the hospital social worker is unable to make an application. We give them a budget each quarter. Okay, this hospital, you know, Children's Medical Center, we have this much to spend in this quarter, so we can make sure that we can not run out of money. You know, not, you know, we have to budget in those kinds of ways, and we keep trying to increase that quarterly budget. Yeah. But that might mean that a social worker has to choose between, you know, 3 families and only choose one to make an application for in that quarter. And we might miss out on those. So again, the more funds that we raise, the more we can get those, you know, dollars out the door.
Got it. And so for families that say, because I was born and raised in Chicago, so born and raised in Illinois. So like, say there's a family in Illinois, and I'm not sure if there are resources similar to what you guys do, maybe in Illinois or in different states.
Yeah, Ask
Are
their
there?
social worker. There are.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. I was just going. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, what would be your advice to those families?
my advice would be to advocate for themselves, to go and
Yes.
ask their social worker what's out there,
Mhm.
what's out there for me, and what are different resources. There are some that they have to apply for themselves and provide documentation. I never had the time or the energy to do that when I had a child with cancer.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why we don't have parents do that, because I knew I was never going to get it done.
Yeah.
But there, ask, advocate, and speak up, do research. There are childhood cancer awareness groups, childhood cancer support groups throughout the nation doing something.
And the main question, the summary question, the final question of the Unphazed podcast that we like to ask all of our guests. And like I said, this has been an amazing episode. It starts with, I started this wanting to meet people and learn things for myself and get experience to different things. And like I said, I'll definitely be supporting like whatever I can to help you guys out. But the final question is, with everything going on in a day-to-day, with everything that you've been through, I feel like you're a great example of staying unfazed or doing our best to through everything, continuing to persevere and move forward. But what things do you do on like your day-to-day or in life that have helped you to stay motivated, to continue to persevere and to overall stay unfazed?
So I'm a former educator. So one of the big things for me is I educate myself. I am not one to just say, okay, this is how it is, and I'm good. I find ways to keep learning and understanding more and more, and try to connect. I'm an avid reader. And so when I need downtime, it's reading. And it's just, you might be disconnecting with a book that is, just absolutely, ridiculous, whatever, easy read, but it might also be historical fiction that I then spend the next, 20 minutes deep diving into what did Queen Elizabeth say to this person because I just read about it. But I think that's the thing, is I keep learning. I find ways to educate myself in any topic. And then I also admit when I'm really not knowledgeable on a topic and I find something that is, and say, explain it to me like I'm 3, let me tell me more about this. So I think that's the big thing to keep me unfazed, is that if I don't know something, I'm going to figure it out, instead of just, I don't ever want to look stupid, but I think it's okay to say, I don't know that answer.
I don't know.
Let me find out. And so I think I kept that mentality going.
Yes, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for getting on here and sharing your story. It's been great for me. I know the listeners are going to love it. And the beautiful thing about YouTube is that when you post something on YouTube, not only is it there for that time, it's there forever. So hopefully if anyone sees this, feel free to connect with Jenny, and look, we're going to put all the websites, the links and everything in the description. So please go there, support in any way you can. Feel free to look at the Unphazed podcast. We'll be posting stuff about this episode as well. So it's been amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for being on the, and everybody stay unfazed. We're out of here.
There you go. Bye.
I'm unfazed, yeah.
My husband is a former football coach.
There we go.
High school. So I don't really do, as I like to call it, the sports.
Sports.
But the sports are on my television all the time. But the deal is there's no NFL on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. And so when I walk in and there's something like football on, I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
What's going on?
And he's like, well, it's the, it's the UFL. It's he'll start getting, it's it.
He says always something. He's like, there's this league. There's this league.
Oh, when the lockdown hit and there was no sports to watch, my husband found the Bundesliga, which is the German soccer league, because he was going to find something to watch.
Oh my gosh.
He had a triple bypass surgery. He had 3 heart attacks on October 1st in 24 hours. And he had a triple bypass surgery. So that is the most intensive, open heart surgery. But that was on a Thursday. And on Sunday morning, he still needed to exchange his kicker. And we were in the ICU. I mean, the man is not and he's barely coherent. We're still in the ICU and he's, get my phone.
He's like, I need those points. I need those points.
Yeah, he switched his kicker.
Oh my gosh. He
So
definitely
that was
did.
fun. It's
Oh, that's
ridiculous.
hilarious.
But,
That's
I guess
hilarious.
if you find your passion.
Hey, you
And I
find
have
your
to
passion.
say-
We talked about it. Find
We
your
talked
passion.
about it. Bye.
Unphazed, I'm unfazed, yeah. Finna stack this paper on my face.